Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. We're talking about 5 values that will lead your life to true success. I believe 5 values that we're going to be talking about in the next several videos. Before we go on, if you want to stay up with this conversation and don't want to miss a minute of it, would you click on subscribe before we go any further? That way you'll be assured to get this content, and I believe it'll help you. I believe it'll put some value in your life. Today we're talking about authenticity. You see, authenticity is freedom. There is nothing that puts a person in bondage more than having to perform around different sets of people. We've all known people before, I believe, who were different depending on the environment they were in or in the crowd they were around. We've all known people who were different in public and private. I think we've all known people who, when the lights and cameras come on, they were a certain way, but then when all that's gone and they're in their private life, they're just a different person. They were not authentic. And I would tell you, living that kind of life is terrible bondage. You see, authenticity is the freedom to be the same person in public that I am in private, and vice versa. It's a coming together of my public and my private identity into one person that is my true identity. And nothing is so freeing as being able to be the same person in public and private. The Greek word for actor is where we get our word for hypocrite. It's a person who puts on a mask. Have you ever known a person that they just were different around different kinds of people? They had a certain persona around one group, and maybe they had a different type of language around another group. Maybe they were kind and compassionate and caring, or pretended to be in certain circumstances, but in private, they were not that person at all. Something about that just disgusts us, and I want to tell you, that person is just in terrible bondage. You see, authenticity is also the freedom to be the same person in all circumstances and in all company. That no matter who you're around, you are true to your identity. You are true to the person you were made to be. And when you can find that freedom of authenticity, it is exhilarating and liberating for your life. You don't have to act. You don't have to impress anybody. You don't have to live up to everybody's expectations. You don't always have to be editing yourself and trying to make sure you're not hurting people's feelings. You can simply be free to be the authentic person that you were created to be. Authenticity is freedom. Maybe you've been around a person like that and you've seen them live that kind of life. It's a terrible thing to observe, but it's a terrible thing to be in the middle of. It's a terrible thing to have that struggle in your life. Authenticity is also the freedom to share your struggles with people you trust. All of us have failure. All of us have things we're ashamed of. All of us have moments in our past when we were stupid and we did things that we wish we could go back and erase. All of us have some private struggles in our lives that we just wouldn't want the general public to find out about. Having a private struggle does not make you inauthentic. Having a private struggle does not make you a hypocrite. But when people learn to walk in authenticity, they're not afraid to share struggles, their inner struggles, with a select few people that they trust. Authenticity is the freedom to share your struggles with those you trust. Now hear me on this. You should not share your private struggles with everybody. Don't go out and create a blog or a social media post and begin to share all your dirty laundry with the world. You can't trust everybody out there to handle that information well. And you don't want to be the kind of person that just spills out all your inner secrets all the time. That's just not healthy. You don't need to share your struggles with everybody, but you must share your struggles with somebody. Some of you have been struggling alone with some hidden things in your heart. Maybe there's some shame there. Maybe there's a wound down deep in your heart that you've just been afraid that somebody would find out about. And that's how shame is. When it gets on you and gets in you, shame for something in your past, it just becomes a prison in your life. You can't talk to anybody about it. You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid if they knew what was really going on inside of you, that they would push you away. I want to hear you. I want you to hear me. There are people out there in your life who can share that struggle with you. There are people out there in your life that you can share that burden with. So I want to challenge you to find that person that you can talk to. Find that person you can trust and be authentic with them. Jesus shared his struggles with his disciples. We know Jesus never sinned. We knew he never failed, but he had some pain. He had some wounds. He had some things that bothered him, I know. In John 6:67, it was a time when Jesus gave a particularly difficult teaching, and the Bible says that many people walked away. It was that day when they walked away and didn't follow him anymore. And Jesus posed to the disciples one of the most authentic, vulnerable questions that I've ever heard. John 6:67, it said he turned to the 12 and said, "Are you also going to leave?" Jesus was willing to be vulnerable. Jesus was willing to be authentic. And I want that for you. I want you to walk out of that prison of having to perform, and I want you to walk into the freedom to simply be the person you were created to be. Thank you so much for listening. I'm praying for you. I thank God that we have this time together. We're going to keep talking about this. We're going to talk about in the next couple of videos what they said about you that you throw off, what God says about you that you receive, and how to move into the identity you were created to live out. Thank you so much.